Alright, well, I'm going to try to do this video. Right, I'm still in the rabbit hole of... I'm still in this bloody rabbit hole. Down this Hoover Dam rabbit hole. And I'll tell you what, it's getting bigger and bigger. And it seems to be endless. I don't know if I've mentioned Universal Soldier, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Unisouls is what they're called. One son, you know what I mean? Van Damme is the reason why I looked into this. And the fact that in this film they're at the Hoover Dam during one of their operations. This is a rebirth film. It's a rebirth film. Jean-Claude is awakening, remembering himself, you know, who he really is. This is the end scene. We've got a cop car, not a copter, but a cop car, white and blue, just like Kobe's helicopter. There. We got the white and the blue, the fictional part of the system, the illusion, the Hoover Dam, the white and the blue, of the water and the ring around the Lake Mead. What do I spot on this? But the 72EX. Not to mention this, but the 72EX. We got the Star of David, the sheriff's badge, but this is also a reference to the dam. We've got a V, a downward V, the cup of Christ, and we've got the upward V, the man or the phallus. So we've got a, you know, you can put any twist on it you want, but we also have a rebirth reference here. Right, so this number plate, this tag here, 72EX. So if we believe that this really happened, this crash here, if we believe that it started off life as N76ILL, changed the number plate on it to N72EX, and then got repainted black, and then had a crash, and turned back to the blue and white, we'll believe anything, basically. I don't want to go on about it. Just another one of these hoaxes, you know. Look at the wheel here. This is a good one for Matt over at Quantum of Conscience, you know. The inflated wheel still there. Not burned, no blackening on the rim. Staged. And deliberately, and this is deliberate, people. This is deliberate. These so-called mistakes are deliberate. They're all on purpose. It gives more power to the trick. The more obvious they can make a trick, the more power they glean from the trick. I don't know. What else do we have with helicopters? While we're on the theme of helicopters, start of Superman, 1978. Of course, another trilogy. Always trilogies. Again, another rebirth. This is the rebirth of the man. This is Superman. He has his alter ego again. He has his illusionary character and his real character. He has a nemesis, Lex Luthor, that he has to deal with. You know, it's a... You know, we're getting into the Biff character and Marty. You know, there's always this other character that they're fighting, you know, or having to deal with. And this is what we're having to deal with now, is the illusionary side of the system. Your fictional character that they've generated for you, the birth certificate. You know, where you're trapped in this system. Anyway, this helicopter crash, interestingly, she's got Kobe's colours on, the Lakers colours, and this is the first appearance of Superman. The first appearance of the man being reborn is to do with this helicopter crash. Another reference to the helicopter, San Andreas. You know, why did they pick The Rock to be the main star in that? I mean, it's no reference to the Boulder Dam, is it, Dan? I don't know. He's a helicopter pilot at the start of that film. What happens right at the start of the film? the Hoover Dam comes down. You know, I mean, are we seeing a pattern here with the helicopter at the beginning of this whole thing? I mean, even in the blah 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 blah, the James Bond, the GoldenEye James Bond with the Yanis character, which again another guy brings this up, but Yanis is Biff, Bifron's Two-Faced. You know, we've got the Two-Faced character, the same as Batman has the Two-Faced character to deal with. So we've got this Biff character, Bifrons or Yanis, and Yanis pops up. Sean Bean plays Yanis in GoldenEye. And again, we've got a helicopter being featured in that film as well. So, do they destroy? They do destroy the helicopter in that film, actually. And again, we're dealing with the two faces, the two sides, and we're dealing with, you know, James Bond, a secret agent, but also James Bond, two sides to his character, and he's got to deal also with this fictional character, Yanis, the Two-Faced character. It's the same story, different characters, over and over and over and over again. Anyway, I don't want to waffle on about it too much. Helicopter stuff, yes, it's all a big play. I'm getting straight into the this back to the Future here, and the whole of this, you know, the whole of the square now, the whole of the town centre has turned a lot more Art Deco-y, especially the clock tower, as they like to call it. This Romanesque temple type thing that I think represents the dam, of course. We've got the four pillars, the four salt shaker inlets of the dam. You know, this is all Art Deco, and of course Hoover Dam is heavily Art Deco. I think when I did my earlier ones, I wasn't 100% sure how much Art Deco there was, and I didn't want to be grasping at stuff, but pretty certain now that we're very Art Deco, and of course Art Deco is very Egyptian-y in its roots. So, and of course, you know, all this hidden stuff is all very Egyptian-y. So I don't know where I want to go from this. Even look at this. We've got the V here with the clock face being born from this V. The two dogs looking either way. Again, another Yanis reference. It's absolutely everywhere when you start looking, I suppose. There was something I wanted to get into this, and I don't want to go too crazy into it, because I think dates will have to be saved for another day. If I can find it in here. I really should write down some of the times on this thing. But as he's... there we go, the baddies. As he is shooting around the square here, in the background, several occasions... oh, there's an image of it here somewhere, I know it. Right here. Oh, if I can just go back just a tiny little bit. Man, I really don't want to play it. There it is. This pops up in the background a few times. Marty actually ends up between. There's two of these. This one here, and there's one, I think, over this side more. And what we've got is we've got the double cross again, the double cross of Lorraine. A reference to the dam, maybe. Those salt shakers again, the 2 and the 2 on each side. This is in Roman numerals. This is a 10 and this is a 10. So we've got a 20 here, and we've got a 20 on the other side. We've got a 20/20, maybe 20/20 vision. I don't know. We've got this diamond here, a bit like the Vesica Pisces. We've got a double V, a 55. V is 5. We've got this point here. We've got a V reflecting another V. We've got the upward V, the A of Adam, Adam, the man, the phallus, and we've got the cup of Christ here, the female womb, the V of the dam. So this is like heavy symbolism to me. Yes, we've got this massive V here, and we've got a massive, we've got the man here, and we've got the V of the dam again. And this hole right here, where you're going to merge from, the vesica Pisces, this is where you can come out of. This is the square and the compass. You can twist it any way you want. I know a lot of people say, oh, bloody Masons, this, that, and the other, all evil, yada, yada, yada. But, let's just take the symbolism at face value. Let's not, you can associate it with what you want, but they got it from somewhere as well. This is ancient stuff, and just because they use it doesn't mean they got the rights to it. You know what I mean? Anyway, this is really interesting. So we've got a lot of numbers popping up in here, and then you can even start assigning some alphabet numbers, alphanumeric numbers, maybe is what you call it. I'm not sure. But you can get there's a W here, and that's a 23, and then the X is a 24 in the alphabet, and the X is also a 21 in the Latin alphabet. And you can start using Latin as well. That alphabet has a few less letters, and you can maybe interchange a letter or two here and there as well. And like the A and the V, and the V being the 5, and the V being, what is it in Latin? It's 20. So we've got the actual 55 that they reference 1955. If you simply change it to Latin, we've got a reference to 2020. Quite a simple, that's not a technical, like, deeply embedded code, I wouldn't have said, but, I'm no expert on it. But you can start looking at all this gematria stuff. And I will say this, we'll get into dates here in a minute, because the 88 for a date, the 8th of October, it's not a very recognizable, it's not one of those dates like 9/11 sort of sits with you, because they've programmed 9/11 into the consciousness so much with the emergency number. But I did a gematria in simple gematria. I think it was Hoover Dam. I don't think it was just Hoover. I think it was Hoover Dam. It was 101. And I got to thinking, what has reality been programmed with? An awful lot is 101. Even the laugh out loud, 101. A date to remember, the 1st of October. If you're gonna, I can pick dates all day long. In fact, I'll mention some other ones as we go through. But while it's fresh in my mind, I'll mention 101. And you'll see how we can get to that date here later on in the video. I'm going to pick out some other stuff that will sort of get back to that reference. But without dwelling on this too much, I don't want to, go over it too much. But, yeah, 101. If you're going to pick something and if you actually think about that 101, and what I was just saying about the Latin alphabet and being able to interchange a few things, I don't know if this is worth mentioning or not, but an E and an I could possibly interchange in the Latin alphabet, and so 101, 101, the I being an E, converting down to an E or back to an E, you've got E, O, and another E. And of course, the dam itself being the V or the Y. Yes, I am reaching a bit here, but the Y, and the Y is, I mean, you've got to I from there. Is that too much of a reach? Definitely, though, E and I is definitely interchangeable, phonetically speaking. It's just interesting where we get to some of these, being able to get back to that without really having to stretch too much. That's not, for me, that's not a stretch. The V or the Y being an actual representation of the dam. The A being or the upside down V being a representation of man. And the M, of course. Some of these, like man and moon, and some of these words, is it too much of a stretch? I don't know. I'm waffling. I'm probably losing people now. I'm probably down to from 10 people watching this to about 2 people watching it now all the way through. It's going to get more exciting. And here we go. Was there anything else to say about this? There are some other symbols around the town before I get on to this next bit. Like the Pontiac sign, another V with a star in it. There's a great big 8 at the far end of town. As he's flying past some bits, you could pick out something that looks like Hoover written on the side of the, walls there. I'll let you look at this stuff for yourself and make those kind of decisions of what's really there and what's not there. Even the Jeep that he grabs a hold of, I don't think I mentioned this before, it's camouflage. The guy that did all the decor for the Hoover Dam was in charge of camouflaging all the dams during the war. Let's move on. Come on. The Triple Goddess. This is another Back to the Future thing. This is the blooming DeLorean logo right here. Let's look at the DeLorean logo. We're back to the moon. We're back to the 88. We're back to Mercury, Madame Curie, plutonium, anything that can reference the future and the past. And again, back to Janus, this guy that can look into the future and the past. The god of beginnings, gates, transition, time, duality. Basically, yeah, anything to do with Back to the Future. Anyway, this sign here, let's look at it. Let's look at it on the DeLorean. Look at it. M for moon. The 2 crescents. Very stylized. They forgot to put this bit in for D for DeLorean Motor Company. I mean, this whole thing with the DeLorean. I mean, think about the DeLorean for a minute. It was a great looking car, but it was just a lemon underneath. They stuck a Renault engine in it. Underpowered, this is what people will say, bits on it, leaking doors, all this kind of crap. The DeLorean, though, a great looking car, Has anybody made a stainless steel car since? I don't think so. What's the Elon Musk one now? Is that thing stainless steel, or is it aluminium or aluminum, or what you want to call it? I don't know. But yeah, they could have actually made it out of. They could have made it out of aluminum. And it's a sports car. Wouldn't you make it out of aluminum? It'll look almost identical out of aluminum. Why did they use stainless steel? Not an SS reference, Dan. Surely not. What's S? 19 in the alphabet. Guess what it is in the Latin alphabet? 18. So we start seeing some of these interesting numbers popping up, and the 18 will pop up a lot. It's the 10 and the 8. And I'll demonstrate to you later where 18 pops up very clearly. But you've got to wonder, why would you make a bloody sports car out of stainless steel, heavy? You would, alarm bells have to be ringing. You know, when you, you see this kind of stuff, they made uh, 3 or 4 gold versions of it as well as a special sort of symbolic thing. Not a symbolic thing, but like a promotional thing. I think. I don't know if there was 3 or 4. I don't know how many there were. I'd have to look into that. But this thing was always designed. This was designed to be the moon. This is what it was there for. Dare I go so far as to say this thing was designed purely to be in Back to the Future. I mean, they built it in Ireland. The last thing they built in Ireland sunk after hitting an iceberg, if you believe that story's completely 100% true as well. Very stylized looking thing. Italian designer as well, I think. Again, we're back to Italy. I don't want to waffle on too much, but from the triple goddess, the moon goddess, we've got the maiden, the mother, and the crone. Oh, crone. It's a bit of a reach, but yes, we're dealing with words that are starting to sound the same. The corona, the crone, the thing that, are we at that point now with, the illusion of the United States corporation being the crone, the crona, the controller, the old hag, if you like, the old witch, the old bat that's controlling everybody. Is it time for a reset to come back to this fresh idea of the illusionary system? And we've got to come through this porthole here, birthed from the illusion again, birthed out of the illusion. Dear oh dear. Anyway, from this we can get to another interesting character. Don't quite know if this is how I made this link. I don't really know why I know why I suddenly jumped into Diana. And I'll tell you what I was looking at. I was looking at the date of her death. It didn't fit in with my prediction that I was looking at, but it got me looking at Diana. Anyway, let's just look at Diana now. I just looked at this the other day. Late August did she die? I can't remember exact date when that was. Are you seeing something right now? This thing. She's buried in the middle of this lake here at a childhood home. I think this is her family home. This lake is called the Oval. Come on. This egg-shaped lake is called the Oval. This eye-shaped lake with the pupil in the middle, with the hole in the middle, with the thing that you're birthed from in the middle, where you perceive reality from, all this stuff, the whole, where everything comes from, the nothingness. This is where she's buried. Overlooked by this thing. The bloody clock tower. This is on, to me, this is the Hoover Dam. The 4 salt and pepper shaker inlets. The clock face. They have a Yanis clock face at the Hoover Dam. They've got 2 clock faces in 2 different time zones, Arizona and Nevada. The 2 faces. This is going to pop up a lot, this 2-face stuff. The double cross. It all references back in on itself. But look at this. Actually, I didn't come across this first of all. I put in, because I was looking for this to begin with, but I put in Diana Memorial, What did I come across first of all? Was this thing in Hyde Park. Another egg-shaped, oval-shaped thing. Look at it. It's an egg shape, and they've almost tried to. It's more of a womb shape. Very interesting. Very interesting. Where have I seen this before, though? I said to myself. I've seen this before. I've seen this before. I've seen the shape. You'll go nuts when you see this. This bloody shape here. It's almost like one half of a sunglasses shape, you know. The old original oval. And now we've got the new memorial. Bud Light. Look at that name for a minute. I mean, not to mention it's silver and blue and white. The fictional system again. Look at the name. Bud Light. Bud. Where does the new flower come from? From the bud. Where is the man born from? From the bud. That is the little bud of the egg. I can't remember my biology, but it's a bud from the ovary. Budding from the light, the enlightened man, the new man, the Christ. Budding from the light, Bud Light. You just cannot write this stuff. Where have I seen Bud Light before? Where have I seen the symbol? During, I referenced it in, I think, the first video. This is another guy picked up on this. A Super Bowl commercial. Random guys playing, Arnold Schwarzenegger at table tennis. And the table tennis caught my attention because it was a reference to the Dam Busters. They mention that the ping pong ball bouncing across the lake to destroy the you know, it's the reference to the bomb destroying the dam. But the ping pong table is the same shape as the bridge in front of the Hoover Dam, and then they have the black backdrop. While they're playing ping pong, the backdrop falls away, just as the Hoover Dam would fall away, to reveal the hidden crowd behind them watching them. You just can't write this stuff. Anyway, that was super interesting. Just little snippets, lots of interesting stuff. Superman, we're back to, you know, this idea of rebirth. And I mentioned in the previous thing about sulfur and the alchemy involved with sulfur. Well, what's this? An S. And an S references 8. Not to mention it looks a bit like an 8, you know, if you just join through. S8, sulfur 8. And I didn't realize this at the time, but let's just take a quick look at this. Octosulfur, I mentioned it in my other video, but I didn't realize it was actually a crown shape. This is another guy that was going on about Octosulfur and the crown. But this is what Superman is. Is it Sulfur Man, really? Is that really the reference to Superman? Sulfur Man. Who knows? But look at that. And of course the gold of sulfur, the red liquid form when it burns of sulfur, and it burns with a blue flame. You know, sulfur is one of these things where we can get into another interesting thing called the, oh gosh, I've not got the right part of it, but let's see if we can come down without it taking a million years. This alchemy thing and all this alchemy stuff. I don't know enough about alchemy, but where did I come across it in here? I want to make this a bit quicker because otherwise we're going to be all bloody night looking at this. I can't find it now. Okay, yeah, look at this. The green illusion eating the sun. You know, this is all to do with the fictional filter. If you put a blue filter in front of the sun, you end up with green. So if you're not seeing the sun clearly, if you're seeing it through the blue fictional filter, now all of a sudden what's actually devouring the sun is this green illusion. This is why you have the Wizard of Oz, you know, the Emerald City. This is why money is green. You know, there's a reason for it. It's all symbolic. This reality is really, I have to say, is not what it appears to be. Come on, Dan, find this bloody bit. This is ridiculous. I'll just get off of it. It was called the prima, the tria prima or tria prima. Here it is, tria or tria prima. This idea that these are this is sort of one of these founding things in alchemy. This is sulfur. This is the man. This is the male, the soul, the spirit. Not the spirit. Sorry, Mercury is the spirit, or what I would like to call the illusionary side of things, the feminine. And here's the earth, the salt, the material body, the material world in which we live. And what's man here? Man is trying to take these two and balance them in himself. Very interesting with this idea of Superman maybe being Sulphur Man. I know there's people that say this is a snake. Yeah, well, the snake is part of the illusionary system. You know, it's that thing that spirals its way up the rod or the cane, whatever you want to call it. So maybe we've got Sulphur Man here. Look at this. This is another diamond. Interesting. This is a V shape, a dam again. Let's look at this. Actually, this is a better one. It's not a really very, you know, it's not as S's go. It's a very interesting looking S because it almost looks like a 5 to me. Another reference to the 5, and of course the 5 being the V again. 55 VV. Yeah, it's just interesting stuff. Let's make a big leap now, and I'm going to go to actually, before I go to this Psalms thing, let's go to this, because I'll reference back to this. Now, we've got I Pet Goat, and before I get on to I Pet Goat, let's just look at this symbol. This is the first projection I think they put on the Hoover Dam, and it's this Cologne or Colne FC. Now, let's go back to a better picture of it. I've mentioned this before, and I didn't go into detail on it. There just isn't enough time to go into all this detail. In fact, this video is going to be way too long anyway, and I apologise. But we've got the goat here, and people will go on, oh, Dan, that's a reference to Baphomet. That's something they've popped this up. This is all evil stuff, you know. Hang on a minute. Before we get into that, oh, I had a hell of a time finding that. Well, I didn't have a hell of a time finding this. Where is it? Maybe I've not got it up no more. I'm just looking at my names here. Dear oh dear, Dan, this is not very good. I apologise about this. I'm not very, you know, I mean, there's so much stuff to get through. Alright, well, just take my word for it. If you look... God, I thought I had them up. I really don't know where that went to. Oh, here, it's right here. Look, I don't know why I couldn't see that. The goat on the dam. The goat on the dam. Could it be this simple? Could this be this simple? That they took something that's probably been around, you know, I mean, some of these dams are pretty old. So I'm guessing that some of these dams may have been around before the Hoover Dam, and these goats may have been doing this for quite some time. Interesting that they picked a goat that actually looks just like this goat, with the two little, an ibex goat. This dam where this is happening, Cingino Dam. This is in the north of Italy. I already looked it up. Right up by all those other dams that I've referenced in other videos. It says here northern Italy. Right up by Switzerland. I mean, come on. I actually looked this up, and then when I was looking at my This here, if this would cut, actually, so I've not got it up now, but on one of these pictures I clicked on it and it actually showed that those goats. I wish I'd done it earlier before I was looking for them, but I've seen them on PBS or something. Weird, isn't it? But anyway, the fact that they've got this billy goat, and I'm going to call him a billy goat, because you'll see where I'm going with this reference here in a little bit. But yeah, so this thing is referencing the dam itself. This goat is referencing the dam. It also references an old god called Pan, and I pet goat. Pet is obviously short for Peter, and Peter Pan, and pet goat. Peter Pan, Peter Pan. No, but Peter Pan. Pan had the bottom half of a goat, and Pan happened to be one of these gods associated with nature. You know, like returning to nature type thing. A lot of people will say he was, you know, they'll stick the evil devil twist on him, but that's just, you know, a very small thing that's been twisted, in my opinion. We have that reference. I'm just going to mention it. So this I pet goat thing's starting to crop up now, and so we've got this goat on the side of the dam, and that's a really good reference because it's the same kind of goat, in my opinion. Now, what do we have here? I asked my wife, what do you see here? Because I thought she might notice it, but she just said, no entry symbol. Well, yeah, actually, it is a no entry symbol, which is interesting. But what I actually got from that, and I'm thinking, what came first, you know? Can you guess what symbol this is? Let's look for it. Here we go. You're going to go, oh, yeah, Dan, yeah. Oh, the Hoover symbol. The Hoover symbol. And, of course, we've got all kinds of things in this symbol. You know, we've even got Saturn in this symbol. We've got the halo or the corona. We've got the two streaks in the Back to the Future. We've got the Cross of Lorraine right there as well, of course. We've got 007. We've got the 8. Some of these numbers here again, of course, we've got the 5. And we've got the E and the I. The E also being 5. So we've got a 55 reference there. What's R even? R's the 18 again. So, you know, it's also a 17 in Latin. All kinds of numbers here. 44 is even in there to me. So a bunch of numbers. We've got the sun as well. You know, this red disc. I know some of it's a reach. You know, you'd say, oh, well, if it was orange or yellow, yeah, I'd call it the sun. But, you know, but anyway, you know, we've got the blood of man. You know, the blood, the living man. But that's what we've got. That's what that bloody sign is. Look at it. Let's go back to it. Bloody hell. Yes, Stan. Yes, that is it. What else have we got on here? Before I even get to this part, this 1.FC, before I even get to that, and you'll know where I'm going with that in a minute, with all these changing letters for numbers. Cologne or Cologne, Germany, the cathedral. I've mentioned this before. Another Gothic cathedral, like Notre Dame. Notre Dame doesn't have these spires. These spires, I'll tell you what this is. This building, see if I can find my thing. This building is the original Twin Towers. This is what this is. The original Twin Towers. The highest, let's see it. Let's see what it says. 515 feet. Another 55 in there. The cathedral is currently the tallest twin-spired church in the world. Second tallest church in Europe after Ulm, Minster. And that's just a single-spired church. The third tallest church in the world. I mean, you know, this is a pretty significant building. Gothic in style again. You know, we've got the Gothic dogs on the clock tower in Back to the Future. The Twin Towers. What's interesting here is the builders have planned a structure to house the relics of the three kings. The gift, you know, that idea of the rebirth again, the birth of Christ. The three wise men bringing the gifts to Christ. You know, it always has to be three, you know, three, always has to be in threes. And it's, you know, this, you know, it's the gift of what, it might well be the gift of what God gives us. The idea of an inner knowing of right and wrong, an exterior knowing of right and wrong through natural law and actually looking at nature. What would the third thing be? You know, I don't know. It's just that moral compass as well, you know. That again, that's the same as the first thing. But you could probably pick out three things. You know, I probably should have thought about that a little bit more. I'm just doing this off the cuff, you know. But anyway, St. Peter's again. So we've got the iPet again here. Is that who it's dedicated to? I don't know what that means in German, but anyway, I can pick out Peter. St. Peter. It probably says in here somewhere. But again, a pet, a Peter reference. So we're getting all the references, aren't we? This actual logo flashed up on the dam face is a reference to the dam itself, to the actual dam itself. I believe I read somewhere that people were upset that they hadn't put like the flag on there, you know, the United States flag on there. They'd put this random club up on there, but when you look at the symbolism within this is just referencing the dam. This is referencing the dam, and what it's referencing. So we've got Colne there, and the way we say it in English is Cologne. And clone. So what we have, this is just something off the cuff again. What we have become is we have become a clone of the fictional side of the system. The Clone Wars. You know how everybody, you know, if you don't wear a mask now, you get frowned upon by other people. It's that clone identity. They've become a clone of the system. Just as in Star Wars, we have the clones that enforce the system. Just as in The Matrix, the clone is Agent Smith. Everybody becomes that character to enforce the system. So this is what we have, the twin, the clone. We've become a clone of the fictional side of the system. They've made a clone for us. That birth certificate is a clone. There's something in that name there, you know. Don't want to dwell into that too much. Let's go on to this number. I say this number because this is what this is. I mean, why have a 1-point FC? What the hell? You know, what the hell? Number 1 football club? 1-point FC. Well, it just so happens if I get my little piece of paper that has the alphabet on it with the numbers by it, F is 6 and C is 3. 1.63, reoccurring, is a special number. Now, again, the naysayers will say, Dan, it's Satan, it's negative, you know, it's the 3 6s, it's the 666, it's all the devil. It's all the devil, Dan. Come on. Yeah, okay, this might look like Saturn, the ring of Saturn across here and whatever. And we've got the 6 3s, great. But what this is this is a special number. And what this references, I'll show you right now, is this thing, phi. Phi is a very special number. It's the golden number, the golden ratio. This is what, that Greco-Roman temple has this number built into it, okay, with its dimensions, the same way as the pyramids does. The 7-11 that everybody goes on about 9-11, and I don't deny it is 9-11 as well, but there's an underlying meaning there, and the underlying hidden thing is 7-11. People go on about Trump making a blunder, calling it 7-11. He wasn't making a blunder. It's part of the trick. It's part of the illusion. It's a deliberate truth drop. It was also 7-11. I don't go as far as to say it was 7-11 and they've hidden it behind a different number. There's some important stuff with 9 and 9-11, and 9 does some interesting things in its own right. It's a very interesting number. But we're back to, so we're getting to this number. Okay, you're going to tell me this isn't a 3 here. Yeah, okay, this is not a 3. This number worked out perfectly. And to get to that number, this phi number, this thing here, phi, look at this symbol, for instance. What we have is an oval or a circle, the thing that you're born from, with the I in the middle. The 1, where the 1 comes from the nothingness, from the middle there. There's a reason why they picked this symbol to represent this number. The I from the whole. Okay? This is what we're dealing with. Look at this. This is divided in two. The two faces. Again, we're back to this Yanistic, the 88. Very subtle in the figure itself, but it's there. The two sides, the reflection of each other. Where Neo is born from, the 1, the I, the all-seeing eye. Interesting stuff. But you're going to say, this is not a 6-3, Dan. Okay, yeah, it's not a 6-3. So let's jump back to how do we get to this number? Well, if you want to calculate it out perfectly, where have I got it in here? I've got it somewhere. Come on. If you want to calculate it out perfectly, we've got 1 plus the square root of 5. Maybe this is, another reference to the 5. This is the common way of getting this, and then divided by 2. Phi and 5, very similar sounding things. The 5 having a V in it. Look at this. This is a different symbol for phi. This is kind of the italicized symbol, and it almost looks like a Y. Bloody hell. I mean, I know some of this is a bit of a reach. Here is a better picture of it. It's almost like a Y, isn't it? I mean, that is a bit of a reach, but interesting. If you were just to take this top part of this and just drop the I down, again, it's a Y. And all these sort of letters and symbols all sort of derive from one another at some point. But anyway, 5. I'll tell you what was interesting. I still got it up. No, I don't have it up, do I? Come on. Nope. Nope. Nope, 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 no. Oh, Calvin, yeah, that's another thing to jump onto. Hopefully I can get through this here in the next few minutes. Oh, it was right here in this piece here. How do you pronounce phi? They say pronounce it as in fly, use the as an I. But I think they mentioned fly there, as in muckfly. They could have called him muck, because there's two ways of pronouncing this, phi or phi. And I'm sure Jack and the Beanstalk is a reference to this. Fee, fi, fo, fum. But is muckfly a reference to this? And the 55 another reference to the golden ratio and phi? I think it is. Now, if we're going to base our events off of this, the golden number, the thing that we're trying to reach, perfection, That's what that is. Are we going to base the dates of our events on a set of numbers that can come to that result, that figure 1.63? Well, as I said, the 7-Eleven. There was a reason why that tower was called Tower 7, the one that nobody ever talks about that comes down in 7-Eleven. Here we have 7-Eleven. What's this set of numbers, Dan? This is called Lucas numbers. Here we are, Lucas numbers. Very similar to the Fibonacci numbers, the Fibonacci sequence. Fibonacci or Fibonacci sequence, whatever you want to call it. Except here we start with 2. Appropriate. The dualistic nature of reality. Even though it's not dualistic, there's only one reality. Oh, and we popped up 1 here. And all of a sudden we are starting our set of numbers from these 2 things. We've used, have they used this set of George Lucas numbers here? So we've got 7-Eleven. Our next prediction would be an 11-18 for the next date of the big event. I already went back and looked at when coronavirus started. Well, I'm having trouble finding 11-18. Maybe I didn't really check it very well. And of course, who are we dealing with the who's giving us the lowdown? We've got the CDC, but also the World Health Organization, the WHO again, the WHO. Doctor Who, the WHO, the band the WHO. There's a reason why the band the WHO has an RAF emblem as their motto, as their symbol. There's a reason why they used the WHO for CSI Vegas, all the CSI sound, music, theme tunes. What I'm trying to say. We're seeing a pattern here with the WHO. I bet if I went and looked at Doctor Who, I've mentioned Doctor Who before, some of the stuff, but I bet if I went and looked at Doctor Who a little bit more in depth, we would start seeing some damn references in there. Of course, the latest thing is we've now got a female Doctor Who. A reference to the fiction, to the feminine, to the damn again. But anyway, let's drop into these numbers here. This is super interesting. I really haven't gone back and looked at 9/11 to see how the Fibonacci sequence will fit into this. But if you divide 11 by 7, you will get a close to approximation of 5. And this is what this ratio does. It basically, if I take 18, well, let's just go into it now. If I take 18 and divide it by 11, guess what number I get? Yes, you've guessed it. I get the 1.63 reoccurring. The same number that is on that logo shone up on the Hoover Dam, on the Cologne logo. We get this set of numbers. What is referenced in Back to the Future a hell of a lot? The 8. Just so happens we have it up in the Fibonacci sequence as well. Interesting. And gosh, I mean the Trinity and the 8 forming the 11. Some of these numbers here, this is why we see these numbers popping up an awful lot. This is reduced back down to 9. You actually have a 7-11 here and a 9-11 here. This next thing that's going to happen, is it going to be, the 18 somehow re-referenced? Is what I'm seeing already being, are we dealing with 9/11 being referenced already? I don't know. I'll tell you what's interesting. If we go back to that Janus theory and we look at the months again, October being numbered for the 8th month but being the 10th month, We'll start getting back into the dates now. And November, of course, is 9, not the 11th month. And December is the 10th month. Well, what would January be? If December's the 10th month, January, or January, Janus, the month name for Janus, would be the 11th month. Now that makes a good bit of deal of sense, doesn't it? We've got the reflection of the one, the clone, the twin, the 1-1 of Janus in January. Everybody thinks it's the first month, it's the 11th month. Interesting, isn't it? And we've got the 18th. You know, are we going to see a date the 11th? You know, and I mean, this is the possibility here. The 18th of January, 118. Not necessarily a number that rolls off the tongue again, but we've got the with that calendar date, we've got 118, which is a reference to the Cross of Lorraine, the 2 skid marks that you see in Back to the Future, with the 8 of the of Doc's car, the Packard number 8, whatever it is, whatever that car is. We've got that referenced right there. The people in the know that January is actually the 11th month if we carry on numbering in sequence from 10 onwards, and the fact that January is two-faced. We've got a double 1. The leg's 11. You know, I mean, if it's the 11th month, are we still dealing with 2020? I don't know. This is all sort of questions, but you know, I mean, if we're carrying on calling it the 11th month, can we still call it 2020 then? Do you know what I mean? So these dates, I mean, even the 18th of November, maybe they just do it straight out like that. Maybe, like I said, we have an 8 and a 1 reference with 101, and this is the number that I'm liking the most right now, although I do still like the 88, and I really do like the 1st of the 18th of January. I really like that little story. But 101, if you were going to pick a number that would stick in the mind, 101 would be it. I mean, 1984, we've got a 4 and an 8 reference right there. How do I get to 101? And also 101 is a reference to the I. If you change some letters around using, you know, Latin alphabet and numbers. But 101, come on, Dan, how do you get to 101 from 18? Well, we got the 8 hidden in October, so we have the 10. So that's the 8, and then we simply put the 1 on the end of it here. So the 18 is referenced hidden in 101. It's actually hidden in there. It'd actually be the other way around, but because America writes their date backwards, you can have it either way around, because the correct way would be small first, then big. But really, I need to have this written on a piece of paper so you can imagine, so you can see what I'm talking about. But the 1 here in 18, so the 8 would be referenced with the 10. The October the 8th, October the 8th, the 8th month, and then the 1 would simply be on the end of it. So you'd have 10-1, or the 1st of October. The 1st of October, written the correct way, is the 11. It's a really, that's what I'm leaning towards. So we'll find out here in a few days if it's going to be this year. That is what I'm leaning to, definitely. But I do like the Janus date as well. And as for years, They could almost pick any year. There's nothing to say it's going to be 2020, although it fits in with the whole vision and the whole helicopter nonsense. It all sort of sticks together. I've gone into all this sort of predicting stuff in the past, and it's never really worked out for me, to tell you the truth. So the likelihood of this working out, but it's a nice story. It's a nice thing to look at. But I don't know if you get where I'm going with that. The 11 is referenced in what normal people would see, and that's the 101. But hidden in there is an 8 for October, and the 8-1 is the 18. That's what's hidden. And what is apparent is 101 or the 11. If I had to put money on those three predictions there, and of course other dates come up, like the November the 18th, and even the 10th of October comes up as well. 10/10. That's another easy to remember date. And I only say that because I was listening to Bob Gale, the guy that wrote Back to the Future, or one of the guys that was involved in writing Back to the Future and making it. And he said, he made up some bullshit story that it had to be 88 miles an hour just because they didn't think people would go that speed. I mean, complete bullshit, No, there was no meaning behind it apart from it was just stuck in the mind, 88. Well, if you're looking for a number that's just going to stick in the mind, 101. Laugh out loud. Room 101. It's right there. When you're explaining something to somebody, 101. For the dummies out there that don't understand, 101. You know what I mean? Anyway, there's several other dates that we can pick out, but it's just re-wiggling these things around. Now, anything else I want to mention very, very quickly? I don't think there really is. I'm just looking. A couple of quick notes. Oh, when Marty's getting the almanac to take back to make his bets, the woman just happens to show him a dustbuster vacuum, little, the mini vacuum sweeper thing. And if we go, I just wanted to note that, and in the window there's also some other references like Perrier water, the pear-shaped, the teardrop, the pear shape of the womb, Katy Perry, all these kind of Perry references. There's a ton of stuff. Like, there's a ton of stuff that I just don't have time to go into. There's another reference right at the start of Back to the Future with the amp blown up. If you look at all the knobs on the amp and everything, it's a separate video in itself. But there's a hidden 8 as he's getting blown back across the room. When Doc talks to him, he says, "Oh yes, my clocks are 25 minutes late." 25 is a reference to the Y. Another damn reference. The whole thing itself, the amp itself, when it blows up, that is like an iconic scene right at the start of the film. That amp blowing up, I wish I had it up now. But in fact, I could probably put it up. Back to the Future. Let's just get onto it real quick. So you've seen the dustbuster. Again, we're back to the vacuum reference. But let's put what do I call it? Amp. Amp scene. There we go. Let's just look at it real quick. I've got time. I've got all the time in the world. I've got a time machine. Come on. Let's look at this real quick. I don't want to play it. I've got to pause it as soon as it comes on. So we got the CRM114. That is a 2001 reference, and I think it shows up in a bunch of other Kubrick films. He's turning the amp on right now. He's walked in the door. We've gone past a bunch of clocks. Again, driver, adjust, river, adjust. Just pick out some of these words to do with the dam. So we've adjusted the river, the flow. He's adjusting the voltage right now. And again, are we talking about the voltage auto transformer, this thing's called here? The voltage from the dam, the 1.21 gigawatts, you know, what the Hoover's producing, the cosmic spark. Primary power, what do you see right here? We've got to prime Mary in order to produce the sun. The number one, the prima, prime Mary. You know, you can just pick the words out all day long. What else is in here? There's a ton of primary stuff, you know, prime Mary. And this is what we're doing. The Virgin Mary is being primed to deliver. There's the overdrive, the ovary, the Hoover. You know, why label these things those, you know, primary power again? Oh dear. You know, I mean, you can put some meaning behind all this stuff. Look at this. He's plugging in the umbilical cord right now to the golden. He's got a golden guitar here. You know, the colors, the symbolism. What's he about to get done? What's about to happen? I've probably missed a few bits and bobs in here. There it is, the moon. The silver with the blue ring. I mean, it is crazy. It's absolutely crazy, the symbolism. This thing is about to birth the man, to birth Marty, right at the start of this thing. Come on, come on. I know this is painful. Probably a reference there. Look at this. I don't know if you can make this out. So it's exploded right where this line is here. Number 8. Fragile. Number 8. Right on this newspaper or box or whatever the hell that is. Here he goes. He's flying out with the umbilical cord. Oh, we don't want to play it. Come on, we'll get in trouble. Just one of those iconic scenes, you know what I mean? Man, I've pretty much covered everything. Apart from, let's just do one last thing. So let's just whip back to this goat thing with the dam, and this iPet goat. Oh yeah, let's just mention Herbert Hoover and the HH, which is 88, a reference to 88, and who follows him up? Calvin Coolidge. I think that's how you say that, Coolidge. Interesting name. Who does Marty play? Calvin Klein in Back to the Future. In number 1, he becomes Calvin Klein. Lou Henry, a Harry reference there, a Henry reference, and there's also another Henry reference, and an interesting reference. The Hoover Dam, the Hoover company that makes the vacuums, they bought the idea from somebody else, but the guy that started it all, William Henry, they call him the boss, Hoover, August the 18th. You just cut 8/18, born August the 18th. William Henry, where have you seen this name? Where have you heard these names before? William Henry. I'll give you 2 seconds to think about it. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Who did Diana have? William and Harry. Harry is Henry. A reference right there to the dam again, to the Hoover Dam. This big thing that's going to happen. What's this? This is a bloody billy goat here. We've got the billy goat. the William goat, and the Hoover, the Harry Hoover. Stranger and stranger it gets. The more I look at the stuff, the stranger it gets. The more little... Oh, Lothar. Let's not even get into Lothar, the region where Cologne Cathedral is, or was, or is, or that place was. I'm guessing Lothar is maybe has some reference to Lorraine in France as well. That's probably... I haven't looked it up, but there's probably a joint, an etymology there that's similar, similar sounding names. But we've got Lex Luthor from this. All these things like Clark Kent, Clint Eastwood, names that are very similar. Even Calvin Klein, Calvin. What's Calvin? Etymology of Calvin. Bald-headed, and Calvin Klein would be the small. Klein would be small. So we've got the bold, small man. As you are born, bold and small. Calvary, the place where Jesus was crucified. I'll tell you what, it's all the same stuff. It's all the same stuff. I haven't even got time to go into Scorpio and all this stuff. All the same stuff. So we've got William and Henry, the two princes, the brothers, referenced in the dam. I don't know what to say about it. I don't know what else to say about it. So many echoes with names, and of course, William Henry. And let's talk about vacuum cleaners for a minute. The Henry vacuum cleaner, another Harry reference, Dirty Harry. We get into all the Clint Eastwood stuff, the man with no name, and that's referenced a whole bunch through all of this stuff. The man with no name, and that's what you are. Normandy pops up a ton in all these sort of films as well. That especially with Tom Hanks. But what else to say about it? If you're from England, you'll be familiar with a vacuum cleaner called the Vax. Not anything to do with the Vax going on now. What was I going to reference? There was some other references with the Vax. Oh, I don't have it back up again now, do I? I've changed it. No, here it is. Needles. This character that Marty has to deal with, one of Biff's offspring, I think. Needles. Nothing to do with the Vax right now, is it? Do you know what I mean? You just can't, you just can't write this stuff. Anyway, we get to, hang on a minute. So we've got Pet Goat coming from this. Peter here with Cologne. Maybe dedicated, don't quote me on that though. Dedicated to St. Peter. And the goat. I pet goat. I pet goat. Referenced right here with this thing. In I pet goat, there is one scene where they reference Bible scripture, and they reference Psalms 23, and you can pick out a Donald written in that graffiti stylized Psalms 23. But I just want to pick up this. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. I read that and I'm thinking, what's the reference here? and I'm thinking shadow of the valley of the valley of the shadow of death, and then I'm thinking Death Valley, and I thought, well, let's just bring a map up and look at Death Valley because that's pretty close to the Hoover Dam. Well, yeah, I mean, it's in the neighbourhood. You know what I mean? We got the Hoover Dam here. This is Lake Mead, the three legs of the flux capacitor, where the man is going to be born from the fictional system, from Vegas, the thing that's, the ultimate side of the fictional system, the epitome of fiction, gambling and what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. All that bad behavior, all the Sin City. You're going to be born from the fictional waters. You've got to walk through the valley. You're already in the shadow of Death Valley, of the Valley of Death. You've got to get through there. You've got to walk through there to get to the sun, to the Golden Gate. The Golden Gate Bridge is right here. This is what you've got to get across. This is what happens at the end of Back to the Future. Marty goes across the Golden Gate Bridge. That bridge that didn't exist until he did that traveling, until he made the voyage, the Odyssey. He didn't come out of the fiction until that final journey, and then the time machine was broken. The DeLorean was broken. This fiction was broken during that last crossing of the bridge. If you look at the bridge, it's the Golden Gate Bridge right at the end of Back to the Future. It's destroyed by the train, the Golden Train. But this is where we're trying to get to. Again, San Andreas, the film, the Golden Gate Bridge. This may be the final part of the trilogy. So we've had 9/11, then we have this, and then we have this. They like to work in threes. If I was going to predict, we've had, what things we're going to have, it's going to be 9/11, the Twin Towers, the Samson thing, the bringing down the pillars. Then we've had the first unveiling of the fiction, Then we're going to have the rebirth of the man, and he's got to travel way over here to the Golden Gate. He needs the key from Giannis. This is where Marty lived. Lion Estates, the Lying Gates. This is what you've got to get through. You've got to become the sun. You've got to travel over this arch to become the Son, the Christ. This is what we're going for. So this will probably be the third part of the saga, the third part of the trilogy. This will be the third event over here, but this will be the second. Anyway, I think that's a good place to leave it. I don't think... Oh, one last thing. Las Vegas, the film. I haven't watched it yet. I just come across it, and when I read this, Las Vegas, and I just read this next line, it's going to be legendary. I was like, this is one that's probably got to be watched. And so I was looking at the characters they've got in it. Michael Douglas. I don't know what I pick up from Michael Douglas, but Robert De Niro. What's going on at the minute? We're seeing the loss of money, so no more De Niro. The birth of the free man, the rebirth of man. Kevin Kline instead of Calvin Klein. Interesting, a Back to the Future reference. We've got Mary Steenburgen. God knows, initially I'm like, who the hell is that? I didn't even click on it and look at the picture. I was just like, Mary Steenburgen. Of course they've got to have a Mary in it because we're dealing with the rebirth of man, and the Stein is the cup of Christ. The Bergen, if you look up what Bergen is, it's the meadow between the valley. You just can't write this stuff. Well, hang on a minute. Where have I seen her before? Mary Stein. Hang on a minute. Where have I seen her before? I've got her up here somewhere. I can't read that quick. Here we go. Clara Clayton, Back to the Future. Really? We've got the Back to the Future reference there. We've got it in Back to the Future. She talks about the moon a lot with him. Clayton Ravine. Boy, I mean, the links just go on and on and on. And she of course ends up being Doc's, other half. And Doc of course is Marty's guardian angel, Christ Lloyd. I've heard somebody else say, Christopher Lloyd, Christ Lloyd. Christ Lord is why I look at it. Lord being the fictional side of the system, and Christ being what we're all trying to achieve. In fact, what we're trying to do is we're trying to achieve what Doc's name is achieving, and it's balance between the Lord that reigns over us in terms of the fictional Lord, the Lord of the Manor, and the Christ that reigns over us, the nature. So we're trying to find that balance. What he is Marty's guardian angel. He is an angel. He's able to balance those two things. Getting back into the meaning of it. But anyway, what more to say about it? I don't know. Clara Clayton. I don't know what the I did see a similar name to Clayton pop up somewhere. I can't remember what it was though. For another day, I suppose. But anyway, in this film, Las Vegas, it's going to be legendary, people. Let's look at some of the names they're playing. Michael Douglas is playing Billy, the Billy Goat. We've got Robert De Niro, Paddy, the Paddy Field. That's what Downstream's going to be. We've got Freeman, Archibald, Archie, the Arch of the Dam. Clayton, he's playing a Clayton. Huh. We've got Kevin Kline, Sam Harris, Horizon, the Sun. Sam Harris is the Sun, and she's playing a Diana. Unbelievable, and it goes on. Probably worth a watch. There's probably a ton of truth drops in there. This stuff, I just don't believe it's happening by accident. Let's put it that way. But there is something weird going on with reality, because I notice in my own life the synchronicities and that kind of stuff. So I think what we're dealing with is a bunch of people that are playing out, are like adding to the story, if you like, somewhere along the lines there. But anyway, I think that's a good place to quit on this one. What was this? Oh yeah, that was that. Yeah, I've done that. Oh, yeah, I've done it all. Done it all to death. I don't think I've missed anything. I'll probably think of something when I turn off. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. A ton of stuff to get through there. As for dates, 1st of October is probably the keenest one I've got right now. That may change, so as time goes on, you never know. Yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next video. Cheers, bye.